Hello and welcome to the new view here with Gavin, James and Colin. We're back today and unfortunately James is unable to join us due to work related commitments. Thankfully we have a very fantastic guest in this place, Shane Murphy from the Blues Supporters Club in Waterford FC. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks very much.
Delighted to have you here. So our structure of our questions today will be as follows. We're going to ask you a few personal questions.
Sure.
We're going to ask you a bit about the history of the club. From there we're going to talk about the changes in ownership of Waterford FC recently, the coaching staff, a little bit about this season and the future of the club going forward. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can do so on any of our social media platforms, which will be in the description below. Quick programming note before we kick it off though. We are very saddened to hear about the death of Joe O'Shea, a hotelier here in Tramore, County Waterford. Joe was a good friend of our programme and a very good supporter to all of us. He's provided us with a facility here for the last few months and we're very saddened to hear about his death. We are thinking of his family at this time and we once again want to thank O'Shea's Hotel for sticking with us and trusting in us at this tough time. So, Shane, good to have you on the show, my friend.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it now. It's great to talk about Waterford FC and the Blues any day of the week. So I'm talking about it 24/7. So this is no change.
Gavin, can you kick us off there?
Yeah, so Shane, just to kick it off, could you tell us and our listeners a bit about yourself and the Blues Supporters Club?
Sure. Well, I'm from Tramore myself. I kind of would have taken an interest in the Blues through the years. You know, it was always they were your local team, but I didn't necessarily get into that many games. As I went on, I kind of, we used to go with friends. And eventually then I got to know more and more people in there. And so from, we'll say, the mid-90s, I started going a lot, to games. Pretty much to every game then through the 2000s on. So, and the Blue Supporters Club, I've only actually joined the committee this year. I was always a member, but I signed up this year to the committee. There are 9 of us on the committee. And basically, we've had different supporters clubs over the years, right? But this was one, there had been issues over the years, right, where there was like an independent Blues Supporters Club, which I was a member, because there were disagreements between, the club itself or the chairman of that with the supporters. There was a bit of a split. In 2010, we started the Blues Supporters Club, where there was far more unity, like everybody was back in together. So it's built, and over the last 2 years, really, like our numbers really have gone up. Like as things have improved in the club, people, it's everybody wants to be part of it and is really keen to join in and get involved in things. So we have, I think we've close on 400 members signed up at the moment, and it's now actually we've a new focus this year as well with the supporters club. Is we've 2 main things, right? We made an agreement with the club that we have undertaken to as the supporters club to raise enough money to sponsor all the underage travel for the year. So the under 15s, under 17s, under 19s, all their away games. The under 17s are up in Galway today, we'll say, right? So their bus was paid for by all supporters, not the committee, but all supporters, the membership fees and things like that. So that's been one main thing, and that will cost maybe about 10,000 over the year, we're committing to. So there's a fair bit of fundraising in it too. And then the other part is what we're really, really excited about this year is the Junior Blues. It's about time we took care of younger kids that are getting into the club. So anyone 14 or under, once they join the supporters club, the same as any other member, they're automatically a Junior Blue. And we do things like where they get to meet the players, where they'll get, they get to know them. We had a fantastic thing there over Easter, where Easter holidays, and now this is very much thanks to Alan Reynolds being that type of manager that would facilitate this. We had, I think about 25 Junior Blues came in with family and that, and watched the last half hour of a training session, so they got to see a lovely short-sighted game and watch and get to see all their favourites and see who's doing well. Brilliant, yeah. Then they went back into the Harvey Norman hospitality suite, which is behind the new stand, or under the new stand, and the players came in, and the players were fantastic. They posed for photos, you know, took selfies with them, signed autographs, the whole lot, chatted away with the kids. They were brilliant. And then handed out Easter eggs to them, which was really lovely. But I just think, you know, you see, there are different age groups, but like you see young kids who, I think they just deserve it. They're going to matches for, you know, every match. And I don't like them to just like go home after the 90 minutes and be forgotten about. Get them involved, get them treated well. Their birthdays are called out at match days, or they're in the programme, things like that. And it means the world to them. There was one little kid there the other week, he's in the Junior Blues, Jack, and against UCC, Bastianeri was the captain, and he came over and gave Jack his armband, his captain's armband, and Jack hasn't taken it off since. Like. So it's just brilliant. I like to concentrate on that as well. Like, so they've been the main thrust.
So there's a lot of positive things going on.
Very much.
People can see your enthusiasm in the club, and I see that you won the Paddy Winters Club Man of the Year award. There seems to be a bit of a joke about
there's a running joke that I can't believe we're only a few minutes in.
Tell us a little bit about this.
Yes, there's a running joke that did I mention my award. So basically Paddy Winters was this really great guy. He was head of the supporters club once upon a time, and unfortunately then he passed away quite young, and his colleagues in Hasbro clubbed together, got a plaque in his a plate in his memory, right? So it's this it's given to the club man of the year because Paddy was just, you know, the absolute soul of the club. Like, he was around, he was fundraising, he was involved with everything, he knew everybody, you know. People who do work like that. The first winner was Joan Barry, who is the woman. She'll be coming back now. She broke her arm and she'll be coming back soon, but she's the face of the club as far as I'm concerned. She sells the programmes and the tickets out at the front, and you can't miss Joan. Everybody knows Joan. So it's that type of person. And so last year I feel a bit guilty about it, you see, because all these people that were out in the rain and knocking on doors and fundraising, and what I wanted for basically was putting stuff up on Facebook, so a lot of stuff on Facebook, but and different social media things. So I would consider it a lot easier. But to be on the same list as people like Joan and different people, and to be on Paddy's award, have my name on it, meant the world to me. So really honoured to get it at the time. So
Shane, you're the admin of the Blue Supporters Facebook group, and over the past week or so, there's been quite a lot of memes of John Caulfield. Yes,
yeah, that was fun.
So just talking about the Facebook group there, can anyone join, and how can people join the Blue Supporters?
So, so I mean, look, there are two separate things. We'll say there's the Blue Supporters, the Waterford FC, and then in brackets Blue Supporters Facebook page, and then there's the Blue Supporters Club is separate as such. So the Facebook page, you just have to send a request, and I don't let everybody in. We have, I think it's about 3,900 at the moment. We could have 10,000 if we accepted everybody, but they're between spammers and troublemakers and different things, you just don't. But then the Supporters Club itself, it's just €10 whether you're a senior member or a junior blue, and basically you can either find somebody at a match, in the club shop or anywhere, and they'll accept it, or contact through the Blue Supporter Club Facebook page, or contact me, Shane Murphy, and we'll sign you up. But the Facebook group, that as well, I set up in 2010, and it's just one of those ones that there were 600 members. Then up until a year and a half ago, it was about 1,300, I think. And now it's 3,000, literally 3 times as many, which is just fantastic. And every time I think that, you might have exhausted the possibilities of new fans, you come home from something like the Cork match, and literally within 24 hours of that, there were another 100.
More requests.
And that was included. Now, we didn't let in, there were Cork fans trying to get in at the time. It's not a banter page. It's not. It's only one-sided banter in one way, in that it's about the Blues. It's not. We're not having people coming on and saying. No, and we're not having people coming on and talking down our club. We're just not doing that. So, but so it's a mix then of, you get your bit of Blues history, and one thing I love on that page is that there are loads and loads of ex-players. So, and you'll see, totally organic and away from anything I've done, you'll see a conversation happening on a Friday night between like Johnny Matthews and Christy Wallace that both played in the 60s, and they're talking about, and fans, and they're talking about certain games, and they all remember literally kick by kick what happened in the game. I think it's fantastic. So you get that, you get the history of the club, you get promotional stuff and what's going on in the club and letting people know about fixture changes or whatever. And then you get the fun stuff, the Caulfield memes and different things, and John Caulfield being pictured on his backside was a lot of fun for us. So yeah, we have fun with things
so
like
what
that.
what other practical benefits can members get from the club?
Right.
Is there availability for tickets, buses? What way does it work?
Yeah, so, first up I suppose is the buses, because and the way I see it is this year buses might become very, very important, because who knows, we might be going to a cup semi-final, a cup final, anything like this. So basically with ours, we're officially linked with the club. So any tickets that come through the club, and there are games like Cork and Shamrock Rovers where Cork changed their mind, but Shamrock Rovers are only going to deal with the club, and then they'll deal with the supporters club. So first preference, supporters club members will get tickets. Also for travel, we'll run a bus to at least one bus to every game this season, and only supporters club members can travel, just so that we're sure who's coming and that there's a lovely atmosphere on the buses at the moment, like as well, where you have a right mix of people from kids up to elderly people, and you have people can have a few drinks if they want, whichever, but everybody gets on well together. And so being allowed to travel on the buses is a priority, but there are other things, we have our membership cards coming out now shortly as well, but there'll be invites to specific events during the year as well. Like come the summer now, what's a brilliant one, I'm delighted we have back, because we had done it a few years ago, is to have a barbecue during the summer. It's not a fundraiser, it's just a social thing. So we're going to be in, I can't think of the date now, but it's in the Mansion House where it'll just be fun, like it's just brilliant, and we'll have all the supporters club, and it ends up being a real social thing. I see it, I'm not going to name names, but I see it where you see different people, you see people making friends as they go along, because they're at these things, and which is great, no matter what age.
And what about, you've talked a little bit about the Junior Blues supporters.
Yeah.
So what would be the criteria to join that, and how would someone go about joining that?
Well, literally it's the same as if you're to join the supporters club, it's €10. Same for the Junior Blues, but anybody under 14, automatically we take them on as a Junior Blue. I'm child protection officer for the supporters club, so we keep their forms and details completely separate, just for child safety. And basically, sorry, I didn't mention as well, between the juniors and senior members, you get to vote player of the month, player of the season, things like this as well, And so then with the kids then as well, there are certain things like the supporters club are going to be sponsoring the mascot a few times this year, and so we'll do a draw, and so like against Sligo, actually it happens to be that Jack that I mentioned, it is his birthday that day, but he's going to be against Sligo now, that's in 2 weeks I think, but he's going to be the mascot, bringing out the players. We have another one at the end, later on in the season as well, so things like that. That's it. There are a few other bits and pieces. We have to get up and running as well as birthday cards. That's on the agenda as well, to get birthday cards to them. So.
Shane, would you be able to tell me and Colin, or just our listeners, why should we support the Blues over a team in the Premier League?
Yeah, well, look,
because that seems to be a big thing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that.
Oh, definitely. And look, people have various opinions on that. When I was younger, I was a Liverpool fan, right? That was
we won't hold it against you.
I'm still a Liverpool fan. Yeah, well, the door's over there, so I can run. But no, I was a Liverpool fan, grew up, and great memories of that. But it was on TV, and that was great. And then I started going to and seeing, and we've a club here, and when you're very young and you can't understand, I remember actually thinking on things that Watford was Waterford, and so, but then you start actually going to games, and like the difference is unbelievable. Like when you can actually go to games, and like especially now as well, you get to know everybody involved, the players. It means so much to people. I don't have a problem with people, following their clubs in England or Scotland, or if they follow Barcelona, whatever, right? Do go watch as much football as you can. Watch football 7 days a week if you can. But to me, it's impossible to beat the feeling you get with your local club, because as much as winning a Premier League or a European Champions League, whatever, as much as that would mean, it just cannot beat the feeling we had last week beating Cork, or the feeling we had getting promoted after 10 years. I remember I write in the club programme, and I remember writing last summer saying like that no matter whenever we get promoted, it turned out to be kind of against Wexford. We still needed Cove to drop a point, but I knew wherever I turn, right or left, I'd see loads of people who it meant exactly the same to them as it did to me. Meant the world to them, and it's just that, it's the community element. You can't beat it.
So you spoke about going to games back in the 1990s.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what's your first memory of the club, whether it's at the RSC, a goal, a particular moment? What's that first memory?
I'm trying to think. I would think really it's, for me, I would have been aware of them, but I think for me it would have been watching the 1986, I'm showing my age here, the 1986 Cup Final on TV. Now, my family weren't a football family. My dad is a big Gaelic football fan, so we weren't, being brought up on the Blues or anything. But now my brother was interested in soccer, older brother, and so sat down and watched the FAI Cup Final, all hyped up, taking on Shamrock Rovers. This was an unbelievable Shamrock Rovers team. They won 4 cups in a row at the time, and literally within a few minutes we were 1 down, and it was a terrible own goal, Noel Sinnott, and we lost 2-0, and it just didn't happen for us. But the knock-on from that though was that because Rovers won the league as well, as runners-up in the cup, we got into the European Cup Winners' Cup at the time, so now obviously amalgamated into the Europa League. But we played Bordeaux, and so that summer I watched the Mexico World Cup, and France were superb in it. They got to the semi-finals, and a good chunk of that French team played for Bordeaux. Jean Tigana was the real famous one, and next minute they were inside in Waterford in Kilcohen Park playing against our lads, like the local lads, and it was just unbelievable, and so all that now, that would be my earliest memory of it. Unfortunately, that was the last time we played in Europe, 1986, so, but that cup final really would be my first memory.
Okay.
A defeat, probably appropriately enough. So.
What would be your greatest moment as a fan? Would it be the same?
No. See, it'd have to be something that was very invested. I'm trying to think. Great that's terrible that I can think of the worst more easily. Greatest, like the promotion last year might be. You see, so far, that's the thing. For somebody like of my generation or anyone younger, right? They haven't seen us win the leagues. We haven't even seen, I was too young to even see us win the 1980 Cup. So we haven't really seen those. So the major memories are the few times getting promoted, into the Premier Division. There's also winning the Cup semi-final in 2004. That was great up in Derry. But on the whole promotion, and so I think I might go with, I think I'd have to go with last year, because where we had come from was so bad, and a year earlier we thought the club was gone. We really thought the club was gone, and then within a year to see 3,000 people in there, and just the atmosphere, and
The
it
good
was
times are
unbelievable.
back.
Good times are back, and well deserved for so many people.
So I guess, you know, over the last 10 years, 2007 to 17, we were playing in the first division, and we were playing against great names like Cabinteely.
Yes.
So, what was the biggest low over the last few years? What's the lowest point that you can remember?
Yeah, well, in terms of clubs, I remember 2014, I think, what I thought was the ultimate insult was Shamrock Rovers B being in the division and us finishing below them was the worst. So finishing like 7th and that, but it really, I mean, things did nosedive over a few years. So the worst was, you know, the end of 2016. Literally that, well, through the summer of 2016, you thought the club was gone. Everybody did. It was heartbreaking going in there. It was really tough going to go in there, and there was a rearranged game in August against Athlone, and the attendance was 167, which was appalling. Like, but then, say a month later, was home to UCD. And I didn't make it to this game. There were 247 is the official attendance, but this week I've heard it being referred to as 77. It's going to be down to about 12 soon. You know, it's going down the way.
But you can't blame people for not going when the standard of football was that bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it was. Now, one thing I will say is, and anytime I meet players from those tough years, I always say, kind of, lads, ye kept the club going. If they hadn't, those fellas, they were local teenagers trying their heart out, and they just didn't. There was quality there, but they needed a few experienced heads with them, and we couldn't get anyone. We couldn't pay any wages, so you had, you know, they couldn't pay the wages. You had these young fellas going out trying their hardest, but getting beaten off the park. Now, if it wasn't for them, there would have been no club. There'd be no club today because they kept it going. So fair play to them. But 8-1 against UCD, the end of September 2016, that was the lowest because that was just dreadful. That's our joint record defeat. 1963 we lost the game 8-1, and then this one. But 1963 we lost to a fantastic Shamrock Rovers team. This was an ordinary first division UCD team.
You mentioned 2016. You know, there were scary times to be a Waterford fan.
Yeah.
And we all know there was an appeal for 80,000 shares to keep the club afloat.
Yeah.
Do you know what caused those financial difficulties?
Well, to be honest, like, it's an accumulation of things, but it's lack of support, really, lack of fans. You know, because the thing was, you know, you knew that if we had tried for a few years to get back up to the Premier Division, and you knew that if we got to the Premier Division, the support was there, that look, people will come. I don't blame anyone not going to watch us play Shamrock Rovers B or Cabinteely or whatever. So you knew, of course, look, people will come. If you're playing Cork and you're playing Derry and you're playing Rovers, the proper teams, they'll come. So we wanted to get up. So yeah, at times they didn't go crazy spending money, but you know, you were trying to get a competitive team so that people couldn't come out and watch. But unfortunately, we couldn't afford it. We literally couldn't afford it, even though it was small money. And so yeah, you just, you know, it got worse and worse, where players were on very little money, but we still couldn't afford to pay it. And then sponsors aren't going to be interested in getting involved in that, you know, and so it's just tougher and tougher, and it just goes downhill, like, so.
And you said about the branding of the club changing from Waterford FC to Waterford United, and now back to Waterford FC.
Yeah.
So from 1930 to 82, it was Waterford FC. As long as I knew it during my lifetime, before that was Waterford United.
Yeah.
So now we're back as Waterford FC again. Does all of this chopping and changing, does it help unite people or does it divide people again?
I won't say it helps unite people really, but
to use the word united.
Yeah, I know. And to be honest, genuinely, you know, those of us that were fans, we really didn't care too much what changed once there was a club. You know, keep the club going. We wouldn't have cared too much. Look, they're the Blues. But if somebody, you know, Vincent Tan in Cardiff, and he decided to change them to red from blue, they were the Bluebirds and he changed them to red. I think if we had to do it, so long as there was a club, we would have still. But do you know what nearly the main issue was? Trying to rethink chants because we couldn't sing United anymore. That was one of the main issues. So it wasn't anything too major for us. And to be honest, things had gotten so bad over a few years. A change was a good thing.
Yeah.
And a fresh start. So that's the way we would have felt, and you're getting back to the, Lee Power's idea is get back to the roots of the club and get back to the history and celebrate that, but bring the club forward at the same time. Don't just think about the memories. So.
Would you be able to give our listeners a brief history of the club?
Sure, yeah.
So for those ones who might not, be too familiar with it, our new supporters.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, and look, all new supporters, welcome them more every week. Keep coming, like it's fantastic to see so many, So the club started in the league in 1930. Now I won't go too much. I'd be into the history of the club, so you can trace us slightly back to like 1927. There was Waterford Celtic, were this like Munster Senior League club who were formed, but there was with the intention of joining the league. So once they joined the league in 1930, they became Waterford FC, and and straight away there was what has been the tradition of the club. Really was mainly local talent with a few extra people brought in, and so there were some English players brought in. There was our first ever goal, right, was a guy. Now, any Liverpool fan might be interested. Dick Forshaw. He's in the top 20 of Liverpool top goal scorers ever, and he's the only one who he's the only player ever to have won the league with both Liverpool and Everton. And then when he was when he was like about 35 or something like that, he came over to Ireland, and he was like the big name that we got, and sure enough, he scores the first goal. We lost 7-3 to Dundalk, but and literally we took to it well though, where at the end of that season then there was a shield competition and we won the shields. Like, we beat everybody. We obviously, I think we finished mid-table in the league, but we won the shield, which was a great start. And then the first big success was 1937. They won the FAI Cup. We've only won it twice in the entire history, which is very poor, but 1937 we won it. And by the way as well, I should have said, even from the very first teams that we had, some of the surnames that are totally associated with Waterford FC were there. Hales, Argans, different, that were always there, and so that's fantastic to see as well, that there have been generations of families come through the club. So then we were out of the league actually for a few years, 1941 to 45, came back, and then we had a great team in the 50s and finished second a couple of times, lost the cup final replay, but so sometimes I think people only think of the years we won the league, but we had some great teams. So 1955 there was a fantastic team. Jimmy Gauld scored 30 goals for us, and that's the most anyone's ever scored for us. And then so the funny one was kind of by 1965 Waterford finished at the end of the league, and there was only one division, and so there was kind of a re-election thing. You could be kicked out of the league and somebody else brought in. And the famous one was that Sam Prohl, the chairman of Drumcondra, said Waterford better pull up their socks or they'll be kicked out. And within a year we won the league for the first time. So, and Drumcondra were gone within a few years of that. They were gone out of the league. But Paddy Code is another famous name in the club once you have codes, right? So Paddy Code had been a massive success as player and then manager of Shamrock Rovers. But he was from Waterford, and he had played with Waterford in the 30s as well. But then he became manager of Waterford, and he was the one brought us to the first league success. And now they brought in some players over the year, like they brought in all these famous names. There was Johnny Matthews and Jimmy McGill were brought in during the year, Peter Thomas then, but as well as all the locals, John O'Neill and Shane Code, all sorts. But so we ended up then winning the league 6 years out of 8, which was phenomenal for like a provincial club. It's absolutely phenomenal. So we won 66, then didn't win it the next year. Then we won 3 in a row, 68, 69, 70. Then didn't win the next year, and then won 2 in a row, 72 and 73. So phenomenal success, like Shamrock Rovers and Cork Hibs, and these were the ones that were our rivals, but we were ahead of the pack of everybody. And things were great, and you were getting crowds of 10,000 or more going into Kilcohen Park every week, and people have fantastic memories of these games. And we were still battling away in the league. We won the FAI Cup in 1980, which was a fantastic memory for a lot of people, and some people always wanted to win the cup nearly more than the league. The cup was huge, and could we ever win it? So but then within a few years of that, things started to go bad, and as you said, within 2 years they changed the company and became Waterford United and tried to have a rebrand, and things have never gone that well since. Once they introduced 2 divisions in Ireland in the 80s, from then we were a yo-yo club. It was a couple of years up, a couple of years down, that kind of way. And it's been that way ever since, really. And we haven't really had any major success since. So these are the best times now since we won the league. Back then, these are really great times to see at the Blues.
Our final question for you on the history of the club is a question in relating to recent history. So Roddy Collins was the manager in recent times. And in 2016, he was a really high-profile appointment.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd been at Carlisle, he'd been at Bowes, he'd won. He'd been at Shamrock Rovers. Why didn't things work out for Roddy Collins at Waterford United?
Yeah, well, I think now by the time Roddy came on board, we had to try something new. He wanted to get involved, and so it was like we have to give him a chance because we tried everything, and we were finding it hard to attract players. And Roddy now, one thing about Roddy is he is very, very good at spotting young players, and that he'll bring through some of the best talent in the league. Roddy was the one to spot them first. So yeah, high profile, and you were thinking as well, then that will drive us on. It was worth a try. To be honest, I think the way things were at the club at the time, that you could have had any manager, Guardiola or Klopp or Mourinho, and they wouldn't have been us. It just wouldn't have. So yeah, was I disappointed with him? Yeah, I was with the performances, really, that I thought we would get something out of it, and instead we went further downhill.
Yeah.
But he was in an awful situation. I know at times, like, it would come to, matches are on a Friday, it would come to Thursday, and he'd realise, okay, I need to bring in like 5 under-19s players into the squad for tomorrow because we don't have enough. And it just was never going to work, and so there was a lot of chopping and changing, so, but look, he tried, but it just wasn't working.
Not the right fit.
No, not the right fit, no.
And just to talk about ownership and the changes of the club, we all know that Lee Power is the owner now, and I'd just like to ask, what kind of guy is he, because he's a football guy, he's played for Norwich and the likes, and also, why did he invest in Waterford? He could have invested anywhere. Yeah,
well, we are very, very lucky, right? We're very, very lucky. Now, I'm not going to pretend. I met him briefly the night that we lifted the trophy in the First Division trophy there in September. Met him very briefly. I'm not going to pretend I know him well or anything. But funnily enough, when I do remember that when I was in school, I remember he was like the young Irish player breaking through. Like, he's born in London, but to an Irish family, and played underage for Ireland. He should have got a first team cap, but and it was a time that Ireland had a lot of older strikers. John Aldridge, Tony Cascarino are getting very old, and it was like I was very keen to give this young fella a chance, but he never got a chance. But he was flying at Norwich, and Norwich had this fantastic European run in particular where they beat Bayern Munich, and then they got to they got to like quarterfinals in Europe or something, and they played Inter Milan. So like, there aren't many club owners around the world who can say they played in the San Siro. He came on in the San Siro, and that's some achievement. But he himself then, he actually got ill, and his career kind of went, we went down the lower leagues and whatever. He became an agent. He set up a publishing company, and boy, he showed his business skills. This guy really knows what he's at in terms of business, like, in fairness to him. And he owns racehorses, all sorts of things. But he owns Swindon then in England, right? So he fancied buying a League of Ireland club. Now, we owe part of it to Dundalk, I'm convinced, because Dundalk doing well in the Europa League that year meant that I think he kind of saw as well, how many billions would you have to spend to get Swindon into Europe? How many billions? It's just not going to happen. Whereas you think, like, God, for a small investment, you can have a lot of fun with an Irish team, get them into Europe and see where it goes, So that was part of it. But the other is, there is a family link, fortunately. Power, look, the most Waterford surname of all time, so it had to be a Waterford link. His grandparents were from was it Clashmore, I think, so down on the Cork border nearly. Waterford, his dad is from Youghal now, and then he moved to England. They grew up in Peckham in London, and so he had an interest there, and we do, definitely John Delaney would have helped, point him in the direction of Waterford, which we'd be thankful for as well. And so, he, everything was there for him. Our club was on its knees, so it wasn't a case of buying the club, it was a case of paying the debts, and he was fortunately able to do that. So he took over, and he's put it this way, he's enjoying it. It's fun.
He's going to games.
Yeah, he comes over as much as he can. The Swindon fans give him a lot of hassle. Some of them hate him because he hasn't spent millions and millions to get them into the Premier League. So, he wants them to be sustainable, and he wants us to be sustainable. And we're all delighted with that. That's a beautiful word to hear, sustainability for us, So he's enjoying it, and he's going to invest, enough to, we're not going to go crazy, but invest enough to keep us ticking over. And to be honest, last year, I know his budget was based on us getting a few hundred at games in attendances, and instead we were getting 1,500, 2,000, so, it's worked out really well for him.
So since he's taken over Swindon, I read an article online about a non-executive director he appointed at Swindon called Veljko Jovanovic, who is the vice chair of Waterford FC today.
He is,
So the two boys seem to be very good friends with each other and are now at Waterford FC.
Yeah.
What changes have taken place at the club since these two have gotten involved?
Well, I would say there's more than just those as well. There are other people as well, Karen Wilborn, Michael Glynn, now, where can you start? I mean, it's been a 180 degree turn, because things have been so different. But the main thing I would say is there is a level of professionalism with a lot of things, where, and this is no, there's no slight on anybody involved in the club before, because there just was no money, there was no support, so you couldn't do things. So when all week long, all we were doing, everybody involved in the club, whether it was supporters club or whatever, was scrambling around trying to get enough, the few quid to pay the wages at the end of the week. Now that that's taken care of and we're in a comfort zone, then you can start looking at building things, get better and better and better. And so, there's been a level of professionalism, even in terms of the RSC itself has come on masses. There's a gym in there that's fantastic. The training pitches are fantastic. The pitch won the best pitch in the country last year. And it's perfect. We've the two stands. We have our underage clubs all being taken care of. Underage teams, all being taken care of. So, what's changed? It is just the fact that, to me anyway, that the basics are being taken care of, and that they can be trusted on those. Well, then you can build, the other things and try and promote the club and keep it moving up and up. So.
So I guess the next round of questions is going to be in relation to the coaching staff at Waterford FC. So Gavin, would you like to lead on?
We all know Alan Reynolds, manager now, and that he had a place in Waterford back in his day.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell us what kind of player he was when he used to play?
Tough. Yeah, tough. Now, Rennie would have been one of my absolute favourite players, to be honest. I think you always love those at your club. He's a Roy Keane,
Yeah.
He was
Graft.
Yeah, he was tough, driven. Now, he could pass the ball fantastically and stuff. He rarely scored goals, but he was just one of those. He won the ball, and he was rock hard there as well. By God, some of his tackles. There was a disciplinary record there as well, where there were a few yellows and reds over the years, definitely. So he was tough, but he had real talent, like, you know. And he was with the Blues he made his senior debut in 91 when he was a teenager, and he was with us till 2001. Yeah, he went off to Longford. Then he did a little round of loads of clubs where he played Longford, Shamrock Rovers, Shells. He was everywhere, Cork, and got a lot of experience. Came back as a manager then, as a player manager, in 2004, and like, he was only 29, like he was really young, like, and he'd admit himself now he hadn't any experience. He was doing it off the cuff at the time, and he was trying to play as well, you know. But he got us brilliantly. We came 5th in the Premier Division. We just missed out on Europe. We lost the cup final, which is, you know, again just missed out on European football. And so then he went off, became a coach, and he's a really, really well respected coach. And since he's been back here as manager, I mean, it's just been phenomenal. But yeah, as a player, tough is the best description.
So he coached at Cork, right?
Yeah.
Beforehand. What's his biggest strength as Waterford's manager, though? Is it his character? Is it the style of play? What?
Yeah, I actually say character, right? Because now some people, funnily enough, would kind of have, you know, I wonder, is he good on tactics? Well, he's proven that, especially in recent weeks. He's made some fantastic changes that have changed games, you know. But sometimes people don't give enough credit to a manager who gets the team playing together and playing as one, and team spirit and things like this. He's brilliant at that. Like, you know, he's absolutely brilliant at that. They love all these guys. Again, you would wonder about new signings we made. Are these going to be mercenaries coming in or something like that? No, they're absolutely playing for the club. They love it. They're fighting. Every last drop of energy they have, like, is going into it, and they love it. They're all loving it, and that, I give him huge credit for that, like, you know. So I think team spirit is huge. Tactically, though, I think he's very clever too. I really do think he's very clever.
Do you think Waterford will have difficulties keeping him for next season?
I mean, that's starting to become an issue now, where other clubs will definitely be looking at him. Now, he also has an FAI regional development officer job. He's the regional development officer for Wicklow, and he's on a kind of a sabbatical from that. So, like, eventually there's going to be a thing, you know, does he stay in management or does he go back to that? There might be something there as well. But in terms of other clubs, he's, like, you know, he's a young manager still. He's you know, 43, I think, or something. So and he's really, I mean, he's taken the league by storm.
Yeah, they're doing really well. Yeah, newly promoted side to be up in third place.
You look at somebody, I mean, you know, Shamrock Rovers, sorry, but I think their guy, Stephen Bradley, I think is clueless. Their manager, absolutely clueless.
Young guy as well, though.
Yeah. But I think he's really poor, and I think Shamrock Rovers must be looking, saying, wow, wouldn't you love a manager like him? Like, you know, so yeah, I'm sure, you know, somebody might be interested in trying to lure him away. The one thing I'll give Rennie, though, as well, is he is a Waterford man, big time. Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, he also played Gaelic football for Waterford before as well. Like,
he bleeds a little.
Yeah, really does, and just wants the whole community behind the club, so, which is important.
So another big name that we had at the club was Pat Fenlon.
Yeah,
he was technical director of football, who left after 14 months in the job. We all know that Pat Fenlon was big at Bowes and Shelburne and was over at Hibernian in Scotland as well. Yeah. So was losing him coming into this season a big blow for the club?
I think it was. I think it's a blow. Now the good thing is, his experience is still available at times, his expertise in that, you know, if it's needed, Alan Reynolds can call on him for things. He can give his opinion still on players. I think so. Now, his role was kind of split between football and non-football things, and I think on the football level, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think some of the other, you know, in terms of promotion things, I think other people could do the job, you know, at least just as well, let's say. Whereas, but football-wise, I mean, you know, he has contacts and he's able to get us players. I'm sure he's still involved in that because he's still working with Lee Power, but he's not there on a day-to-day basis anymore. So I do think it's a loss, but I think there will be a replacement coming though. So.
So we're on to the next section of questions then got to do with this season.
Yeah.
Okay.
This question now, Shane, is a two-part question. I just want to, following last week's home victory with Cork, obviously, we know what happened there with controversy.
Yeah.
But do you think Stanley and Heary deserved the 6 and 4 game ban they got?
I think they're very harsh. I think what they are is, if you follow the rule book to the letter,
6 games.
6 and 4 is what they were getting.
Yeah.
That's not taking any extenuating circumstances into account. So I could have expect the 6 and 4. I could kind of expect it. But you're saying then that, to get that, basically the FAI or whoever, the disciplinary committee, are saying, well, Bastianeri pushed somebody over so he gets a 4-match suspension. But he pushed over a pitch invader. That's what, John Caulfield ran on the pitch. He went to, now Bastian was time wasting, he was messing around with the ball. John Caulfield, an ex-player, literally tackled him to get the ball. And Bastian is a very, very laid-back character, and he got a little small, now an accidental, and a little kick on his leg by a guy who had invaded the pitch, so he turned around and he pushed him. I don't know, I don't see it, I think it should have maybe been taken into account and get slightly less of a ban. I'm not fully sure what Stanley was charged with, but
I couldn't see what he did. Was it coming back onto the pitch?
Yeah, he didn't do anything when he was on the pitch. Then when he was on the subs bench, as one of their players, Gary Buckley, was sent off, Stanley made his way over to him and squared up to him. Then that wasn't even that bad, I would say, but he was going to the tunnel, and then the referee came in after him and red carded him, and Stanley did kind of go towards the ref, we'll say. Didn't lay a hand on him or anything, but he was shouting at him. Now whether that, I'm not sure what the actual ban was for, whether it was the going after the referee thing might have contributed and made it longer, I'm not sure. So but the one thing out of it, John Caulfield got a 1-match ban, and he started the whole thing. I genuinely think he should have had a 10-match ban. And Mark McNulty, their goalkeeper, came in with a punch and dragged Bastian to the ground by the hair and got away absolutely scot-free. So,
do you think losing Heary and Stanley will affect the Waterford form?
Yeah. Well, it's a massive, massive blow. The two of them have been fantastic. Stanley, I think we didn't know what to expect of Stanley at the start. We had heard of Bastianeri, you'd seen a bit, or a lot of the players who got in, we didn't know anything about Abora. I genuinely think he's the best player in the league. He's absolutely superb. But so look, obviously going to be a massive blow. Now, last night we were against Derry. We were missing those two, but then we were also missing Kenny Brown and Courtney Duffs. Yeah. So it was just too much, and it told in the second half. So probably too much yesterday, but with the other two gone, right, we're not going to be missing. Bastian's going to miss 2 more league games and then an EA Sports Cup game. Those 2 league games were away to Pats on Monday, home to Bray on Friday, and I don't want to get into disrespect, but the players we have should be able to go out and beat Bray at home. Yeah. Bray are really struggling, so they've lost 9 in a row or something. So I think we'll get by, and we have a lot of quality players that can come in. You have people like this now. Just seems crazy to if I thought I'd be saying something like this in 2016, that players are out, but we'll bring in Sander Puri, who has 69 international caps for Estonia. If I thought we could say something like that, you still have to pinch yourself that this is true. So we've quality players, and young players like John Martin, Derek Daly. These can come in and get their
Can we address another controversy surrounding the Munster derby?
Yeah.
Was there racist abuse from Waterford fans towards foreign players?
Oh no, 100% not. No. There was what happened right there was I'll take a little role in this because basically Cork fans, the way Cork fans right in the GA do it as well, they have the Confederate flag up, right? right? Now, Cork fans that I know are trustworthy ones as well have admitted that there was a certain level, not organised chanting, but a certain level of racist shouts, we'll say individual shouts, against some of our players, right? Then I put it up on the Facebook group or something like saying it was disgraceful how they carried on, and I actually mentioned that Toby Adebayo-Rowling was on their subs bench. I was saying, like, imagine what he would, as a black man, what he would feel about these, you know, a Confederate flag waving and these taunts. And some guy down in Cork, just one person who runs this page, then decided to completely make up, said that Rowling was racially taunted or something. Like, it was an absolute 100% made up, believe me. There were like, apart from the fact that we have quite a lot of players of African origin, you know, genuinely, without saying too well, if somebody ever did something like that in the RSC, you know, there'd be hell to pay. The fans would not, we wouldn't even be to stewarding, the fans would not tolerate it. It would not be tolerated. So not a hope that was true. But
you spoke a bit about the players that we have.
Yeah.
And you said about Sandra Corey being Estonian.
Yeah.
Izzy Akinade was born in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Lawrence Vigor was Chilean.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of diversity in the squad.
Yeah. It's quite
so
exotic.
do you think that having this diversity is part of why we're doing so well? That it's not just the lads from town. We've actually got players who are recognised international players who played for their countries and played in other divisions.
Definitely, I would say it's the mix and it's the balance. It's getting the balance right. As I said, like literally going back to 1930, we had our local families and a few imports. We've had problems though over the years where, you know, one time you go and you get in a load of what turned out to be journeymen, professionals, and pay them a load of money, and then do badly. Then there'd be a complete swing to the following season. All young local guys, all teenage local guys. And then you'd say, oh, well, they need a bit of experience with them. It's about getting balance, you know, you have to get the balance. And so, yeah, at the moment we have like some of the best young talents in Ireland playing with more experienced guys. And sorry, then you have somebody like Kenny Brown, who's right in the middle, who is the best defender in the League of Ireland.
He wins every ball.
Oh, he's fantastic to watch, like, and he's from Johns Park, you know, and he's one of our own. We brought him through the underage levels at the Blues. He went and won leagues with other teams, but it means more to him to play for Waterford. So you have this, you know, you have that balance, and yeah, having there's a real professionalism. I'll tell you a quick one just about Bastian Eri. Apparently I love hearing things like this. At Christmas, he didn't want to stop training. He couldn't understand that we were taking a few days off at Christmas. He wanted to train right through Christmas. I mean, when you hear things like that, you're just like, right, this guy wants to play for the club, he loves his football, you know, it's fantastic, and it brings everybody on, you know. So, and even our underage players, those under 19s, get to train with them at times, and they learn from them, and you know, so it's help for everybody at the club.
Just to mention Bastian again, he scored that wonder goal in February. Would that be the greatest finish you've ever seen in the RSC?
It's, you know, I've had that conversation and I think it might be. I think it might be. I think it probably is. I saw Pascal Keane get a bicycle kick for that Kilcone, so yeah, which was fantastic. But in the RSC, I think it probably is. It was just, it's the technique, right? We've had a few. Brian Nolan got a beautiful goal, I remember, about 3 years ago, where he was like a chip from the halfway line. But Eri's one was just hit with perfect technique, where it wasn't like anyone can do this. No. Only a few players can hit it that sweetly, that spot on. I'm not saying he'll do it every week, but it was just perfect.
He has to be one of the most technically gifted players that we have, or that we've seen.
That we've had at the club ever.
He can pick out 30-yard passes, no bother to.
Yeah, absolutely. He's glorious to watch. He's absolutely a pleasure to watch. Like, this is the thing, it's not just winning football we have at the moment. We're playing some great football, and we have really exciting players to watch. Like, so it's fantastic. Look, there are little nutmegs and flicks and back heels going on and stuff, and you know, and yet there's the toughness in the team too, so it's just got that balance that's just Keegan. A pleasure to watch. Keegan has toughness, and he was fantastic last night now. up in Derry. I didn't think he had a great game against Cork. I thought he struggled against Cork, to be fair. But now he's another. He brings professionalism to that club. Like everything he does, he's mad for training. He's 33 or something. Mad for training, like absolutely, and does it right every time. So it's just brilliant. Bastian though is just fantastic, and he's a really really nice guy as well. So
could we struggle to keep a hold of Lawrence Vigouroux?
Yeah, I think Vigouroux is definitely only till the summer. I'd be pretty sure, because we were really lucky the way it worked out that we got him. It was just a weird set of circumstances. He's, he was considered the best. A lot of people considered him the best goalkeeper out of League One and League Two. Really quality. He'd been at Spurs, and Liverpool, I think, kind of poached him. He was, so he really top quality. He fell out at Swindon with the manager. The manager there, though, David Flitcroft, at the time was one of these strict disciplinarians, right? And what Vigouroux did at Christmas, he went out, I think, the night after a match. He went out and had a few drinks. Well, our lads did that last Friday. They were encouraged to that. That's, did not go crazy, but let off some steam. That would be an Alan Reynolds approach, would be just go out, have a quite enough, but enjoy yourself night. They had a fantastic team bonding night together. Whereas he was dropped and told he'd never play again for Swindon because of this. So they tried to sell him during the transfer window. Now apparently there was a bid of nearly $500,000 from Swindon or from Charlton for him. But Swindon valued him at $1 million. Now there's no other League of Ireland goalkeeper that's been valued at $1 million. Mark McNulty, Gary Rogers, no one's paying $1 million for these guys.
No.
So we have a really, really top quality keeper. Now I assume come the summer, either Swindon will want him back or they'll want to sell him. I think Phil Brown will play him,
And what about Courtney Duffus? Will we keep him or not?
Now that one could work out longer. And that is a real sign of a player who had lost his confidence there for a while, apparently, right? Was struggling. He had gone from Everton, he was with Oldham, he wasn't really doing anything. Comes over here, he's an Irish under-21 international, comes to Waterford to play, and he has 5 goals in 6 games so far, and he is really, really enjoying it. He's really loving it. So I've heard that he's interested in staying longer, if his loan can be extended. And the thing is as well, because we have a backer like Lee Power, look, say with Swindon, maybe Lee Power will have, say if we were in the running for the league, now I'm not saying we will be, but if we were in the running for the league come the summer, maybe Lee Power will say, do you know what, maybe I'll keep Vigouroux there for the moment. So, you never know.
You make a good point though about that. Swindon have no hope of getting anywhere near Europe in the next 10 years, 5 years. It's just not going to happen. No. But Waterford, actually, there is a reasonable possibility.
And that's a real attraction for investors to come into the League of Ireland, like that. These American investors that have come into Dundalk lately, or anyone who wants to invest. European football is amazing, and that's been my biggest dream ever, is to get into Europe. So you can do it, without spending fortunes. It's possible to do and get there. So I think I think that's the plan, basically. So.
Shane, where does this year rank for you among all other seasons spent in the top flight?
See, for me, top, literally top. Well, the best 2 previously that I would count were 2003 and 2004. We had been a couple of years out of the Premier Division, right? Came back up the first year under Jimmy Migo, and Jimmy was another, one of these ex-players from the 60s who spotted a lot of talent that went on to play for other clubs in the league, Gary O'Neill and Neil Fenn and all sorts, really top quality, Dan Connor, top quality players, brought them in as well as locals, and that was an exciting time. Then Alan Reynolds took over the following year. So it's Jimmy finished 6th out of 10, and the following year then under Alan Reynolds we finished 5th in the Premier Division and got to a cup final. Fantastic times. But I can't beat this season. I think it's actually top. I genuinely last night against Derry was the first setback we've had, because the 2 games we lost previously were away to Cork and away to Dundalk, and we were no disgrace in either game. And look, any points we get against those away from home is going to be a bonus. So I didn't think they were a setback. Last night, I would have liked to have gotten a point in Derry, but it's a small setback.
Would you think there's any genuine chance to improve the RSC, especially with capacity?
Oh yeah, definitely. Which again is a really funny thing to be talking about, like that we're literally talking about. Like 2 years ago there was tumbleweed blown across the place and a couple of hundred people, and you're in this empty thing with 3,000 seats, and now we're like 3,000 seats. That's not enough. We need more. And the thing is, right, it's council owned, but it's a gem for the area, right? And it's being able to host Munster rugby matches and athletics things, different things, concerts. So any developments are help for the whole city, really. But so as it stands, there's 3,000 seats, and we can have a certain amount, a few hundred standing we're allowed, right? But there's I know there are temporary plans for more standing, where you could get several thousand standing, but eventually they're going to have to look at a stand. And look, any stand that's built, you can look at football being cyclical, that maybe in years to come, I don't know, maybe we won't have the crowds again, maybe we'll go through a down patch. But whatever's built there is for the city, and it's going to be for everything, So, I would definitely think for that, more stands, definitely. There are other things. There's a new little development happening near the old stand, so on the Cork Road side, where there's like a few offices and I'm not even sure, I think there's gym facilities there as well, but a few things being built. I've been campaigning at the moment for better disabled facilities, so better wheelchair. Now the RSC is fantastic for wheelchair access, but we just want a more sheltered place to watch a match, so that you're not getting battered by the rain. So there are things, but these are the things. Little by little, we're improving. At the moment, the supporters club run the club shop, which at the moment is a porta cabin that it's damp, and that at the moment we're getting a new one where people can actually wander around the shop and things like this. These are all these small bits and pieces like that. Just little by little, it's improving.
And before we build another stand, I just have one sort of critique I'd have, but you can take me on about it if you want. But in the new stand, the atmosphere isn't as good as the old stand.
No,
it's just lacking.
And it's now, actually, to be fair, I think this season the Cork game, people were saying it improved a lot. I'm in the old stand myself, but at least this year we have away fans. Like in the first division, there were no away fans, because you might get, Athlone might bring 3, or something like this, Finn Harps might bring a couple. But now you have groups, and so once you have like a group of Shamrock Rovers or Cork fans making noise, well then the home fans want to make noise to outdo them, and so that helps. Can you do? It's hard to engineer atmosphere, so. We have, in the old stand, Block E has traditionally been, you have the drum and you have singers and everyone stands and makes noise, right? And then the rest can join in and stuff. It's hard, to get it across in the new stand, so you're really looking at, individuals to get something going. I don't know whether the supporters club can try and do something. If you have suggestions, it's great, so I'd love to improve it there, but from what I've heard, we could see them standing up doing Stand Up If You Love the Blues for the Cork match, and from what I heard, there was a great little atmosphere going, and some of it is kids, because these kids are coming, and so they're going to shout, and so it is. I think it'll improve.
Just to talk about the future of the club now, Shane. Do you think there's any players we need to buy in the summer?
Yeah, we definitely will. We definitely will have to get some. Now, well, again, we rarely buy. We paid a transfer fee for Kenny Brown, let's say, but it would be rare enough that we're paying transfer fees. It's about spotting the right guys and getting them. So look, we actually got left in a really awkward situation at the start of the season where Patrick McLean left right at deadline day, and that was a loss. It was for personal reasons more so, to go home. He's from Derry, but he's now playing for Sligo, so he's near home. So that was it. He loved playing for us, but so we ended up with, we only have 5 defenders in the squad, and one of those is John Kavanagh, who's on loan from Cork. Now he's going to be staying, but we have to get more defenders, like, you know. Vigouroux, not sure, the loan guys, Vigouroux, Duffus, I'm not sure if they're staying or going, you know, obviously none of us know. So we'll have to get players in. Now where I would be saying is, come the summer, there's always a fresh crop of guys who are let go by English clubs or get homesick and decide they want to come home, and you get the next guy who maybe you haven't heard of. Last year we hadn't heard of Derek Daly, he turned out to be fantastic. This year Dylan Barnett, who knew Dylan Barnett, and he left back, he's brilliant, like. So these guys, you know, being let go by an English club or something, that's not any major slight against somebody. Like, you know, an English club can go and pay 5 million for another player, so they're quality players that are available, you know.
And would there be any other players you would like yourself, you'd like to see on one team?
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, I'm looking there. One thing I think we could look at is in the first division. There are some top quality strikers in the first division that are wasting their time being in the first division, because look, we had 10 years of it. We know it's terrible. So Georgie Kelly, who's playing for UCD, got a hat-trick last night. He was the top scorer in the first division last year. Again, he's a really quality striker. Danny Furlong was with Galway. There are a few different ones. Chris Mulhall even at Drogheda, he was Drogheda last year at Longford. But so there are guys there. Trying to think, probably I can't really think of any offhand. Well, no, I know who I would take. Right, I'd quite happily take John O'Shea back home, and I won't rule that possibility.
I wouldn't rule that out.
I won't rule that possibility out.
No.
I think Shazy might want to come home, and I could see him wearing blue. Damien Duff played for Shamrock Rovers, who's to say?
Now, also, you know, aside from the players like Paul Keegan, we have a very young squad.
Yeah.
And my question for you is, how good are our youth teams, under 19s, under 17s? How good are they?
Yeah. Do you know, last year's under 17 team was absolutely magnificent, superb, maybe the best youth team we've ever had at the club. John Furlong managing them, they were fantastic. Now, it's weird because you have under 15s, 17s and 19s, you're probably going to get a stage now where those under 17s have now come into the under 19s, but they're young to be under 19s. So I reckon next year they'll be phenomenal at under 19s, but this year it might be a learning experience for them. So yeah, we have some really top quality guys all the way through. By the way, there's the FAI are bringing it in, so from next year there's going to be under 13s playing for the Blues, which you're getting really young now at this stage. But I'm convinced that it's the way to go, that in the future every Ireland international will have played League of Ireland at some point, even if it's under 13s before they go to England. You know, so I think that's good that they'll have a grounding in it and they'll get the best coaching then. I don't want to name individual players like at that underage, but like there are some exceptional talents coming through, and so there are guys who are on the verge of the senior team now. There are guys who in the under 15s who are fantastic players, and you're just waiting to see develop as well. So plenty coming through, and you know they're all local. So.
And my final question for you is in relation to European football. It's, you know, it's something I'd love to see it. I'd absolutely love to see it in Waterford. So firstly, where do you think we're going to finish in the league this year?
Now, I consider myself realistic. Last year I looked and I said we had the best squad in the division. We're going to win the first division, and we won it, right? That's not cockiness. It's you know, I thought we should win the first division. We did. This year I looked and I would have said that I thought the division was kind of split in three. That you had Cork, Dundalk, and possibly Rovers would be the strongest. That Bray, Sligo and Limerick might be weaker and would be in the relegation battle, and that we'd be in a middle four with St. Pat's, Derry and Bows. And so far this season, look, we've been the best of those. St. Pat's looked like they had signed very well, but they're not going great. Derry are flying now after a difficult start. The highest I could see us finishing is third.
That's enough for Europa League, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And fourth can get you Europa League depending on how cups go as well. So like four, you're basically talking, whether it's cups or league, that 4 teams will qualify for Europe out of 10. You're really saying, and I don't see Sligo or Limerick or Bray qualifying for Europe, so you might be talking 4 out of 7.
But the only problem I could see if it happened is, would the RSC meet the UEFA conditions? Because I remember, was it Dundalk or was it Shamrock Rovers couldn't play at home?
Dundalk couldn't, but we can, which is a great thing about the RSC. That is fantastic to show. Even during the tough times that we built the RSC, it improved. It got that second stand even when we were in the first division. But I think that is fantastic. That no, Dundalk couldn't play. They had to go to Tala, to Shamrock Rovers ground. Whereas, we can play all those early rounds of European qualification. It's a part of it is about having a minimum 3,000 seats. And we have 3,000 seats, so that was part of the thinking even when we did it. So we can host our own games. If we get to the Champions League group stages or something, we might have to look at on somewhere else, but we'll worry about that.
So Shane,
but it can happen.
Where one place, one name, where are we going to finish in the table?
I'll go realistic, and I'm going to say 4th.
4th.
I see 4th, but we could finish higher. And it'll be interesting to see, do we invest in the summer? If we're in the mix for things, do we invest a little more and get some more players in and that? So, but Europe, I can see European football happening, and that is my biggest ever dream. Is all of us head off on a plane to Eastern Europe or something like this. I've been waiting for a long time for it. It'd be just unbeatable.
Shane, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks very much. That's brilliant. Thanks, lads. Very fun.
Thanks so much.